The Tamiya Lunchbox is arguably the most popular and fun RC monster truck ever created. Since its release in 1987, we still can't get enough of it. And if you take a look at these photos from one of the dedicated Lunchbox groups, you see everything from box art to limited editions, as well as all the customised trucks. There's something about the Lunchbox that brings together the sort of RC enthusiast who's in it for the fun, whether they've got the urge for box art or to create something more personal to them. With that in mind, I want to share with you my contribution to this awesome lineup and go through all the hop-ups that I've added in the process, as well as some others that you could be interested in. I've done 19 hop-ups, and the first one is the most involved. So let me show you all the parts that I've used, resulting in double front wishbone suspension and a wider stance. I need to give a massive shout out to Valley RC for this idea, so make sure you check out his channel via the link in the description. So let's jump straight into hop-up number 1, and I'm going to break it down into 9 parts. 1.1. This 3D printed part is available on Thingiverse or Shapeways, and it's used to attach the suspension links. It's one part of a whole kit for double front wishbone suspension, but I only need this part together with 5mm ball connectors. You will find that there are already holes in the chassis, so install using Tamiya self-tapping screws. 1.2. The steering links are made using 3mm threaded bar and some Tamiya adjuster rod ends. You can buy 3mm threaded bar on eBay and just cut it to length. Try to achieve some negative camber, so when it's under load and cornering you maximise tyre contact. Not that these are highly tuned racing machines, but still, let's pretend we're the ultimate mechanics in this world of grown men playing with toys from our youth. 1.3. This conversion is only made possible with this 3D printed part designed for the Rising Fighter. It's available on Shapeways and it's a near perfect fit. All I did was shave a little bit off underneath to sit it flat. 1.4. Now you're able to install the DTO2 front suspension arms. Flip them over with the flat part towards the bumper and install using the DTO2 screw pins or some hinge pins. The TL01 suspension shaft set works. 1.5. You need the DTO2 C-hubs and 3x22mm screw pins to secure the Lunchbox knuckles and C-hubs to the suspension arms. For the steering links you need 2 ball connectors plus M3x15mm screws to secure them in place. 1.6. To attach the bottom of the shocks to the suspension arms, you need 3x22mm screw pins and Tamiya 4x6mm brass tube. 1.7. To act as spacers before installing the hex extenders, I used 4 Tamiya metal bushings. And that brings us to 1.8. These 30mm hex extenders are actually sold as robot fittings, and I bought these from Aliexpress. Link in the description. I flattened a part of the axle using a file, as you need to tighten them down using a grub screw, and I added some blue thread lock to avoid them coming loose. 1.9. Wild Willy chrome wheels. The rear wheels fit using a 12mm hex, and the front wheels use 1150 bearings, exactly the same as the standard Lunchbox wheels. To secure the rear wheels, you need M4x8mm caphead screws, which screw into the centre of the hex extenders. I suggest putting some blue thread lock on the threads inside the hex and wipe away any excess that spills out, as you don't want it to come into contact with the wheels because it makes plastic brittle. The gearbox does cause a lot of vibration and it can cause wheel nuts to shake loose, so don't skip this step. So that's the first and the only complex hop-up in the list, and the rest are easy and applicable to any Lunchbox build, whether you do this first one or not. I love making videos on the Lunchbox, and if you're enjoying this video so far, please tap the thumbs up to let me know. Cheers. Number 2. This should be a standard. Rubber sealed bearings throughout. Less friction, resulting in increased runtime, so get bearings and replace those plastic bushings. Number 3. I've installed the Ampro axle brace and it stops the chassis slap that occurs when you accelerate. Another good option is a 5th shock mod. I must try that one day. Number 4. Alloy body mounts. If you've ever used the plastic kit ones, you'll likely know how easily they snap. So grab a set of these in the colour you want from the link in the description. Number 5. I installed a custom servo mount, so the servo sits flat, improving the turning circle. It's made from 6mm thick alloy bar, and the holes are threaded using a tap and die set and secured with M4 bolts. The guy who originally came up with this idea made a batch of them a while back, and I believe he's still producing them, so check out this Facebook group if you want more details. Number 6. 25kg servo. This is the one I've installed, and it's the same one in my son's lunchbox, and they've worked great. There's many affordable options available, and I would have tried this one had it been around at the time, but I've only just found this. Another budget-friendly brand I like is SPT, so I'll add a link for that one as well. Number 7. High torque servo saver. Tamiya make one which I've used before and it's great, but it's a bit tough on the hands to put together. This Kimbro servo saver is pre-built, so much easier to install and recommended by many. Number 8. I've installed Tamiya CVA shocks having 95mm at the front and 85mm in the rear by using one of the supplied internal spacers and a shorter rod end. On a standard lunchbox build, the choice of shock length depends on you and how you want to set it up. Check the back of your manual for the suggested CVA shock install guide, and in the lunchbox kit you get the additional hardware needed to install them. When people opt for third-party alloy shocks, the most common length would be 85mm all round, and anything else shorter at the front increases the risk of tyre rub on the body shell. On my son's lunchbox, I have put 75mm shocks on the front, together with firm springs to reduce the tyre rub. It can still happen, but generally it's worked well and reduces the wheel droop it's famous for. Number 9. I've opted for the Tamiya Sport Tuned motor, which is a popular and easy upgrade. It gives it more pep without being too crazy, and personally I think it's a great choice. Don't bother getting the torque tuned motor, because the Sport Tuned has got more torque than that has anyway. Of course, you can get faster motors like my mate Graham, who runs brushless, and he has loads of fun living on the edge, maxing out speed as he tries to maintain control. And perhaps one day I'm going to try that too. But every time I finish painting a new body shell, I just don't fancy destroying it. The other side of me says that his truck tells its own story with all the battle scars, and I think it's awesome seeing someone having such unadulterated fun, and it makes me think I'm holding back too much. Perhaps for me, the answer lies in a Lexan body shell for more extreme bashing and more speed. It would also help with stability because it wouldn't be as top heavy. Number 10. Dual wheel wheelie bar. Having two wheels will offer a bit more stability. You can get ones with a wider single wheel if you prefer, and I'll add links in the description for these options. Number 11. Rear alloy shock mount. Again, a few third parties offer these made from alloy or carbon fibre. I picked this one up a couple of years ago, and since then more options are available, which goes to show how popular and well supported the lunchbox is. Number 12. Foam body mounts. I consider this a hop-up as it stops the body rattle, which is not only annoying but also distracting from the pure elegance of the driving experience. Something else that's annoying is when they keep falling off every time you remove the body shell, so I like to stick them in place using double-sided tape. Simple, but you'll wish you had done it sooner. Number 13. 3D printed front chassis brace. There's a few designs available on Thingiverse or Shapeways, so just use the search bar at the top to browse the options. You can now get an alloy one, which wasn't available when I started this build a couple of years ago. It's been a slow burner, but I'm easily distracted. Number 14. Hobbywing 1060 ESC. Is this a hop-up? With the shortage of Tamiya ESCs, you may get one of these in the kit. If so, it will be black, not red, and on the side it will have RTR as they're used in many ready-to-roll kits. Depending on your location, you may get an ESC branded as Carson, and these too are made by Hobbywing. Whatever the deal, they're great for running a brushed motor. It's plug and play, and it supports a wider range of motors than the Tamiya ESCs do, and for that reason, I consider it a hop-up. The only potential head-scratcher moment you might have is that the Hobbywing 1060 doesn't have the classic Tamiya on and off switch that you would mount to the chassis, so you can either leave it switched on and power it on and off by unplugging or plugging in the battery, or stick the switch on the side of the chassis. Number 15. With an empty mounting hole on the chassis for the aforementioned Tamiya ESC switch, you could get this light kit that is supplied with a Tamiya style switch to mount in its place. Number 16. Alloy gearbox cover. This is from Mini Manufacturing. They machine the parts here in the UK and the quality is excellent. They are sold as heat sinks, but they don't even come into contact with the motor, so ignore that and just get one because it's a nice bit of bling and it's even got Lunchbox engraved on it. Number 17. Tyre Foams. In my opinion, they offer better stability and improve the handling by negating the tyre roll. These fit perfectly, so check out the description below if you want to buy these. Number 18. Spike tyres in the heavy dump truck offer increased grip, and I stuck them to the rims using 6mm double-sided tape. I prefer to do this than using super glue so I can easily remove them when needed. Occasionally you will have to replace the double-sided tape, but for the convenience it's worth it. Number 19. Tyre decals that I bought on eBay. They look pretty cool but not likely to stay in place for too long, so maybe best for a photo shoot or if you just want to build to display your RCs. When I took this on the sand, they did start to lift pretty quickly, but the stickers are quite thick, so perhaps if you find some thinner ones which work better, you'll let me know by leaving a comment on this video. There are so many hop-ups and mods that you can do with the Lunchbox, and I'm far from covering them all with my build. Tinkering is part of the hobby, but you don't have to do anything to have fun driving this truck. This has the standard motor and shocks, and other than the light bar, it's a stock build. So don't hesitate to start using the Lunchbox, and if you want to hop it up or modify it further down the line, you then have the benefit to be able to see any difference in performance that results from the changes you made.